fourth chapter, we have come across with the advent of European countries. Among the European countries, only the Britishers were able to capture our country and they started the administration. So as they started capturing the territories of India, they brought two policies, that is doctrine of subsidiary alliance and doctrine of lapse policy. So with the help of these two policies, they were able to capture the maximum parts of our country. And with this implementation of the policies, that is doctrines, many of our people were not at all happy with these things. And even so many of our kings were also not happy with these policies. But even though they captured our country and they started administrating our country. So in the administration also, they brought so many new changes. Among the changes, the maximum of the things were in the favorable of the Britishers, but not at all in the favor of Indians. Our people faced a lot of problem due to these changes what they brought in administration. So at last the revolt started, but before the revolt started, we are having so many of the reasons. So the revolt is mentioned as a first war of Indian independence of 1857. So in 1857, our country had a war with the Britishers. So that is what our historians, Indian historians, considered the revolt as a first war of Indian independence of 1857. But the British historians considered this as a sepoy mutiny, means the revolt led by the sepoys. So let's know what are the reasons, how it provoked the people to fight against the Britishers, and all the things we learn in this chapter, that is what we call as the first war of Indian independence of 1857. Now let's know about the reasons behind the revolt. So these are the main reasons for the revolt, that is political reason, economic reason, administrative reason and the military reason. So let us learn these reasons one after another in the brief. The very first is the political reason. So as mentioned earlier, as Britishers, they brought the policies like the doctrine of subsidiary alliance and doctrine of lapse. So in the political cause, these two policies were not at all favorable to the Indian kings, especially the doctrine of lapse policy. So here the doctrine of lapse policy means the king who are not having their own natural heirs, they have to give the kingdom, they have to surrender the kingdom to the Britishers. So especially in India, this policy was not at all accepted. So that many of the Indian kings, they lost their kingdoms like Satara, Jaipur, Jhansi, Udaipur and many other states. They lost their power. And not only the thing, in the political cause, again, the Dalhousie, who is the Governor General at the time, Lord Dalhousie, he cancelled the kinship of the Nawab of Tanjavur and Carnatic Nawabs. He cancelled the kinship of those Nawabs. And not at all the thing. Another important thing is he dethroned the Mughal kings and many other kings from their places. So the soldiers who are dependent upon these kings, they lost their job. They became unemployed. This became a very important cause for this revolt. The next is the economic cause. So the economic reasons are, as we all know that as the British came as the traders, but later on they started taking the raw material to their own places to improve their industries. At that time there was an industrial revolution in England, from where they used to take our raw material to England and bring back the finished goods, and they were selling the same goods in India. Due to that thing, many of our people, that is so many of the small industries, they were totally vanished. So that had affected a lot. That had affected Indian economy a lot, and many of our Indians face a lot of problem. And another important reason for the economic cause is, that is the introduction of the zamindari system, that is land taxation system. They brought permanent zamindari system, mahalwari system, ryotwari system. Likewise, they brought so many of the systems in India which were not at all favorable to the farmers of India, whereas our farmers, they had to face a lot of problem, and they were exploited a lot due to these policies. So this is also one of the important cause, whereas we consider it as a economic cause. And now let's know about the administrative reason. So in the administration, as I told, they brought so many of the new changes in administration. What are the changes means? They brought the very first thing they brought is the English language in the administration. They made English language as the administrative language, where our Indians, they were not at all able to listen or to understand the English language. They faced a lot of problem about this language, and even they brought so many of the laws, that is civil law and criminal laws. These laws were very much favorable to the Britishers and not at all favorable to the Indians. So this also caused a lot of problem, and it had also become a very important cause for this revolt. Later, let us come to the military reason. So military reason. So in the military, the situation of Indian soldiers were very pathetic. They had to bear a lot of problems. Whereas the British soldiers, they were having the promotions, salaries, status, everything more than the Indian soldiers. The Britishers, they were drawing 10 times more than the Indian soldiers as the salaries, and even the promotions were fixed to the British soldiers. Only the Indian soldiers were getting the level of Subedar. That was the highest position what our soldiers were getting in the British army. So next, and the Indian soldiers also asked to work to the overseas, where their religious sentiments was hurt. So these are all the important reasons for the revolt. So here another one reason is there that we consider as the immediate cause or the beginning of the revolt. So in the beginning of the revolt, let us know what all the things happened. So here the Britishers, as they were training up their armies regularly with some new equipments or new arms and ammunitions. So here also they introduced a new arms, that is the new rifle that is called as Royal Enfield rifle. Royal Enfield rifle they introduced in the army. Where this rifle was introduced, and the cartridges which they had to use in this rifle had to remove, the safety clip has to remove from their tooth. But the rumors has spread that the cartridges which they had to use in this rifle is smudged with the fat of cow and pig. Whereas in the British army, we are having so many Indian soldiers, even Hindus, Muslims, so many of the Indian soldiers were there in the British army. As the rumors have spread that the cartridges are smudged with the fat of cow and pig, the Indian soldiers, they refused to use these cartridges because cow is a sacred animal for Hindus and pig is totally not at all accepted by the Muslims. So these people, the soldiers, they refused to use these cartridges. So but still the British officer, they tortured the Indians to use these cartridges. But the same thing happened in Barakpur, where the revolt had spread in a very long manner, like a fire, forest fire it has spread. There also the Indian army was used to, were tortured to use these cartridges, but the people, the Indian soldiers, they revolted against the British. One of the soldiers in Barakpur named Mangal Pandey, he killed the British officer as he was forcing the people, the soldiers, Indian soldiers, to use these cartridges. So because of that reason, he was arrested and hanged till death. But the mutiny, the rumors of this thing had spread in the maximum part of our country. It had spread to Meerut, where the same thing happened. The British officers, they forced the Indian soldiers to use these cartridges, but they revolted against the Britishers and they start marching towards Delhi. So all the soldiers from Meerut and from some other places also, they started moving towards Delhi, and they reached Delhi, and even at that time the Mughal emperor was Bahadur Shah II. Bahadur Shah II, they went to Delhi and they placed Bahadur Shah as a king of India. He was again rethroned as a king of India. The soldiers, they asked the help of Bahadur Shah II, but Bahadur Shah was not able to help the soldiers. He refused to support the soldiers. The enraged soldiers returned back to their places as the revolt was not at all supported by our Indians. Even the revolt also spread to Kanpur, where Nana Sahib was the ruler. To suppress this revolt, the Britishers, they attacked on Kanpur, where Nana Sahib, he was ruling there. So, and he was assisted by Tatya Tope at that time. So, they were not able to save Kanpur as it was into the hands of British. It went into the hands of British. Tatya Tope thought, at least I can go and help Jhansi, where Rani Lakshmi Bai was leading the revolt. As we all know that Rani Lakshmi Bai, she is a very brave warrior. She was a very brave leader, a lady who fought against the British to save her kingdom. So here, and when the revolt was going on in Kanpur, Rani Lakshmi Bai, she was able to capture Lucknow, and from Lucknow she was marching towards the Britishers, but in that battle she was not able to fight against the British and she lost her life in the battlefield. The Britishers called her as the bravest among all the mutineers. Even today her name is taken in a very respectable manner in the freedom fighters, among the freedom fighters. So here is these are all the things what happened in the revolt, the reasons and the course of the war, of this first war of Indian independence. Even though all these things happened, many of the people, many of the kings, they revolted against the British due to their administration, due to the changes, reformation which they brought, but still our people did not get the freedom at that time. That is in 1857. They have to struggle again a lot because the revolt was failed. So we are having so many of the reasons for the failure of the revolt. Now let's know the reasons for the failure of the revolt. The very first reason is they restricted to small part of the country. Means the revolt has not spread to the whole country. It was restricted only to few of the provinces where the kings were only taking care of their kingdom, not about the country. Next, concentrate on the rights of the kings and queens. So it is concentrated only to the rights of the kings and queens, as I told, because they were taking care of only of their territory, not about the country. Next, the mutiny was not a planned mutiny. Our soldiers, just they revolted against the Britishers. It was not a planned mutiny. There was a disunity among the Indian soldiers, whereas there was a lot of unity among the British soldiers, but there was a disunity among Indian soldiers. And lacked direction and leadership. There was not a proper leader to lead the revolt and to direct the revolt against the Britishers. Lacked discipline and organizing skills. Indian soldiers, there was lack in discipline, and even in the organizing skills they were very much lacked compared to the Britishers. They were lacked in the military strategies. Even our soldiers were not knowing about the military strategies and even planning capabilities. Our soldiers, they were not able to plan out the mutiny in a proper manner. The next is no definite aim. Our soldiers, they were not having a definite aim for the revolt. So next up, there was the Indian kings loyal to the Britishers. The Indian kings, they did not supported the mutiny, but instead they were loyal towards the Britishers. And even those Indian soldiers, they looted the people, Indian people, where they lost their faith of a common people. So these are all the reasons for the failure of the revolt of 1857. Though the revolt was suppressed and it was ended, but still it had an impact on the British government. So the very first thing happened is the rule of East India Company ended and the whole rule of India went under the hands of directly British government, that is Queen. And the Queen of England, she proclaimed that she will provide many of the rights according to Indian Magna Carta. So according to Indian Magna Carta, she proclaimed that the agreements entered by the East India Company with the local kings was accepted. As we have come across in the political cause, that Dalhousie, he had cancelled so many of the kingships. So again, the Queen, that is British government, they accepted, they agreed that the same agreements will be continued with the Indian kings. Next up, non-pursuance of regional expansion. She promised that there will be no further regional expansion. They will provide a good administration. Means here, they will providing a stable administration, stable government for the Indians. So to give a good administration. Next up, equality before law. So in the administrative reasons, I come across that they made so many laws which were favorable to Britishers. So that was also one of the major reasons. But here, Queen, she promised that they will provide equality to all, even for the Britishers and as well for the Indians. And the last is the non-interference in the religious issue. This is a very important thing what she proclaimed, that they will not interfere in the religious matter of Indians. So like at the time of social religious reformation movement, Rajaram Mohan Rai, he took the help of William Bentinck to abolish sati system. So this is an interference of the Britishers in the religious matter. She proclaimed that she will not interfere in the religious matter. Even they will be tolerant towards all the religions. So these are all the things what she proclaimed in according to Indian Magna Carta. So these are all the things what we call as the outcome of the revolt. Britishers, they were very much known. They came to know that without the command of love and affection of Indians, they were not able to rule on them. And even they have to listen. The ability to listen the voice of Indians is also one of the important thing to rule on the people of India. So these two things they came to know after the revolt. And even the things they wanted to involve the Indians in the process of legislature, means including them in the administrative matters. With the help of the Indians, they wanted to create the administration, and along with that they implemented the policy of association, means with the involvement of the Indians, policy of association. All these things help the people of India, help the Indians to fight for the further struggles like the freedom struggle. It motivated a lot for our Indians to fight for our freedom and fight for our nation. So this thing, the freedom struggle, we will learn in the next upcoming chapters.